Hi everyone, it's Sue. Happy New Year. I hope you all had an amazing festive season and I hope you're all feeling well. So I'm really excited to be here today with something that we're calling an initial kickoff to 2022. So I was approached by Corey Darman from Corey Darman Creating with Scraps to do a collaboration with these wonderfully talented women. And what Corey's brief is to create something or show something using our first initial or all of our initials, whichever we choose. So first of all, I'd like to say thank you so much to Corey for including me in this. I've just so excited about this whole thing, and just to see what all these, as I said, amazingly creative ladies have in store for us. So down below in the description I will add everybody's links to their channels, so we would love it if you could just go and follow us all and see what we have all gotten up to. So obviously I don't know whether everybody is using their full initials. I am actually just using S. So my name is Sue, obviously, and I am just going with S. I am a huge stamp collector, rubber stamp collector, have been for 30 odd years, and I just can't ever let a good stamp go. So that's basically what I will be doing. I'm thinking stamps, stitching, and possibly serviettes. So we'll see if we can, I'm trying to push myself a little bit here because I don't ever use serviettes much in my creating. So I'm going to push myself a little bit and see if I can be a little bit creative and do something with them. So just a little bit of a rundown. As I said, we've got, in the mix, we've got Corey, of course, and she does amazing things with scraps. Wendy's Journal Adventure. So Wendy has these most amazing journals. And just beautiful work. She's just a beautiful lady. So if you don't know about either of these ladies, which I'm sure you do, please head over and see what they've gotten up to and share some love. Subscribe to their channel. Also, we've got Gail Agostinelli. So everybody, I think, knows Gail. If you don't, you have to head over and have a look. She's an absolute joy to watch. She creates every day and does amazing stuff. We also have the amazing Tracy Fox from Tracy Fox Creative. She just, yeah, I mean, she brings out these most amazing digitals, and she has a magazine called The Foxy Rag that she produces with her partner, but her work is just amazing as well. And also Marley's from Marley Design. Oh, she just mixed media art and her use of Tim Holtz products, and she is just incredible what she can come up with. So as I said, I'll have all these details down in the description below. If you do want to join along with us and make something using your initial on any of your social media accounts, if you can put the hashtag initially you 2022, we'd love to see what you're all creating. So that's just a little bit of an introduction of what we are up to. So as I said, I have got multitudes of stamps. It's quite embarrassing actually. When I went through the tubs to have a look and see, you know, something to inspire me, I found all these stamps and I can't even remember purchasing them. So that's just to give you an indication of how many I have. So all right, what I'm going to do today is, as I said, stamps, stitching, and serviettes. So I'm going to get started. Something that's pretty easy. I'm going to start with postcards. And stamping up some postcards. So we'll get right into it. So I have some different card weight cardstock here. This is watercolor paper. You can use anything you like. You can do it on just your normal 80 GSM copy paper, and I've also got some of this ivory 270 GSM card. So it all depends on the look that you're looking for or going for. And I'm today going to use some Tim Holtz postcard postcards, it's called. Postcards CMS 099. So these are an amazing set of stamps. And I just wanted to show you how you can pretty much do your own postcards. It's really not anything new, but if you've got something, even if you can get stamp sets that have a multitude of images and then just one postcard image. You can make your own. You don't actually have to have a full block stamp for, you know, with the frame and everything for the postcard. You can make your own. So basically with the postcards, I normally do mine 4 by 6. Now this isn't 12 inches wide, so it's, just measure that. So it's about 11 inches. So I'm going to do mine 5.5 inches by 4, just so that we don't get so much wastage, really. So for the longest part, I'm going to cut these 5.5 inches. And then, so out of one sheet, we'll get 4 postcards. 5.5 by, we'll go 4, which is a nice size for a journaling card. And you'll have a tiny little bit of waste, but we can utilize that in something. If you watch Corey's video, I'm sure that she'll come up with something that you can do with this. So we'll pop that to the side. So that's not too bad out of one sheet of A4 paper. I'm just going to cut this one just so that we've got a few that we can make. This is something hopefully relaxing today that you can kick back and just watch, especially if you're not feeling real well from having a big night. Okay, so I've just cut these 5.5 by 4 inches, and that's, as I said, a pretty good size for a journaling card in general. Actually, what I might do is I might just cut some coffee dyed card as well. And I don't see any reason why you couldn't cut pattern paper and make a postcard out of that. So you could actually do pattern paper. We might do that, use some scrapbooking paper and do the postcard on the front. And then you've got decorative images on the back. So this piece of card here is a little bit longer, so we can go 5.5. We might go, say, 5 3/4. So go 5 3/4 by 4 on this one. Okay, so I've got a few postcards there. I might just grab a piece of scrapbooking paper and cut some of that up as well. This is a really great way to use up some of your 12-inch papers as well. So I've just grabbed this, and it's only one side, except they've got this advertising barcode on the back. So when you're cutting it, just make sure you use the top part so that you can just have the front to stamp on and make into a postcard. So we might do it the same size of these as the coffee dye ones, which are 5 3/4, and then we'll go by 4. So we've got all these postcards. I'm obviously not going to stamp all of these up, but I just thought I'd give you a bit of an idea of what you could do. I'll just give you a warning too that I've got everybody home, everyone's home from work, etc. And so if you hear a lot of noise, it's the kids upstairs and Jim wandering around. So I'll try and keep it as quiet as I can. And just as I said that, Matt walks out the door and slams the door. All right, so just grab, so I'm thinking that this can be the back of the postcard, and then we're going to stamp and make the postcard on the front here. And I'm going to grab one of these, and I'm going to grab a coffee dyed one as well. So I had this out, making sure that they stamp okay before. So I might do one of these with this one that I've already got on there. And there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 in this set. So I've been looking for this set for ages in my stash. And then, as I said, I just dragged them out, all my containers of stamps the other night, and I found it again, so I was so excited. So I'm going to use black on this one, and you just need to, so just, I'm sorry if my head gets in the way, basically just try and stamp the stamp about halfway. So now that you've stamped that, all you need to do is just grab a ruler and a pen. So because I've stamped it in black, I'm just going to use a ruler, and I'm not even really measuring it. I'm just going pretty much through the center here, and we are going to just rule a line down to the bottom, and that's basically your postcard. Okay. On the back here, we can add decorative paper, or we can do some stamping or collaging. Something that we could even do is that's when we can bring in our serviettes. So we may even do that on one of these. So I just wanted to show you a couple of different ones. You can even, if you wanted to, you could even start measuring, you know how it's got where you can write, and then it has the lines for your address. So there's no reason why you can't do that. So I'm just going to use this ruler and line it up and just rule some lines. Once again, I'm not measuring. I am using the lines on the ruler to get an indication of where, space-wise. Making sure that I've got that lined up pretty straight, and we'll do one more. Let's just do one more. I don't know about you, but when I write, if there's no lines, I tend to go up on an angle. So there you go. You wouldn't know that it's not an actual postcard, except probably for the fact that it might be a little bit bigger. Although postcards I don't think come in particularly one size. Okay, so that's your first postcard. So if you've got something like that, if you're lucky enough to have the Tim Holtz stamps like I am, you can utilize this. This is something that I sell in my shop as well, and in here, this one is called Correspondence. It's a darkroom door stamp set, and I have got postcard here as well, so you could use that. And then we've got like a postcard, a little postcard here. Okay, so we might even make one using one of these, just to give you an idea. All right, so that's that one. As I said, we may come back and do some stamping and decorating on here. I'm going to pop that to the side for now. I just wanted to sort of show you how you could do that. So on this one, we might utilize this. So we're going to use this one here. So what I'm actually going to do, just to get pretty much because these aren't acrylic, I'm just going to come through here and put just a pen mark, and that should be pretty much from there to there to there, the same distance approximately. It doesn't matter if it's not exactly the same. This time I'm just going to use Tim Holtz archival ink in Vintage Photo. And normally what I like to do is I like to stamp out and not drop them, but stamp out my images first, just to make sure that they are going to stamp out okay. Now you can measure this this card if you like, to try and get the center. So I'm not particularly measuring. I mean, I guess I am. I'm using the grid on my mat here, just to work out where about the center is. So it's about here. And then I'm going to line up that line. With that. So there we have that one stamped. So if you wanted to, you could also put a line across there. I'm just going to put this, because I've used the vintage photo, I'm going to use a brown pen. I'm just going to line it up on my grid here, just eyeballing it really. And this will be the center line. So if I line my ruler up with that center line, we'll have sort of a straight line. So this one I'm going to go down the center, and I'm actually going to go across. So I'm just going to go across like that and just leave a gap. So in this correspondence set as well, we've got here 4 correspondence. Okay, so that's why it's always good to stamp your image out. Now, I'm not sure, for some reason, this isn't stamping properly. Okay, so that's a bit better. So this side is normally for correspondence, so that's why I'm going to stamp that there. And I'm just wiping off the excess ink. And it's not perfectly straight, but it is fine. Okay, now we can add lines here. I don't think I will. It's going to get a little bit too busy otherwise, but we might, you could even use, if you've got stamps, rubber stamps that are stamps, we could do something like that there. So this is just a really old, I've had this for years, Fiskars stamp set, and I don't think I've ever used it, which is disgusting, but you can either add a real stamp, or you can stamp something that looks like a stamp. So I'm going to use this one here. I know it's not, doesn't have the jagged edge, but I think I'm just going to use this. And I'm going to stamp it on a separate piece of paper or a separate piece of card. So let's add a little bit of red. Now I'm doing this on a scrap piece of card anyway, so if it doesn't stamp right the first time, I can just have another go. And that will do. So you can cut that straight, or you can use, if you've got fancy scissors, you can utilize those. I think I have some. Let me just have a look. So S for scissor. So like fancy scissors. So you can just do, so this is the image, it's a scallop image, but what I've done is I've actually tipped it upside down so that I can cut and get similar to the edge of a stamp. It's not exactly the same, but it's junk journaling and we're not really going to worry as to whether it replicates it perfectly. Well, I'm happy with that anyway. And so there we have just a little stamp that we've made. And I'm just going to add a bit of ink around that. I'm going to ink around my postcard as well. We can just glue that there, and I've also, we might just move it down a little bit. I'm going to glue that down, and then if you've got postmark stamps, you can, what do they call it? Cancel the stamp so that it can't be reused. I've got one here that I always have on a block. And for the most part, I think the post offices use black, so I'm going to use black. So this is just a stamp. You can see how much it gets used. A stamp, like a cancellation, stamp cancellation stamp. So I'm just going to stamp it on black. And I'm just going to stamp it through here. So it looks fairly genuine, but it's not, I mean, that's not what we're specifically going for. So that's a great journaling card. On the back, you can add, say, like a serviette. So let's try that. I went and saw my mum this morning, and she actually had some new serviettes that she'd found, and she gave them to me. So may as well, let's try and use one of these on the back. So with the serviettes, and once again, you may have all seen this done. I like to try and keep this, and if we get time, otherwise, I mean, this video could be 10 hours long, but don't want to do that. I may even, if it's okay with Corey, I may even do another video if you're interested in seeing more ideas with using up your stamps. So sometimes it can be a little bit hard to think out of the box what to do with them. So if you can keep these layers, you can actually stamp on them and make your own serviettes. But as I said, we may not get into that. We'll see what happens. But you must take those layers away, otherwise they'll just lift. So we're going to do this on the back. And I'm just laying it on just because you can see the images, sorry, the postcard through here. I'm just thinking, I love kookaburras. They're my favorite bird. I mean, I love any bird, but they're probably more so my favorite. So I'm just going to cut. You can use some water and tear. I'm just having a look. I'm going to cut a little bit of that bluebird there, but there's four images on a serviette, so we can utilize him again. So this is really rough. Okay. So what I use is just a glue stick, basically. You can use Mod Podge, that type of thing. I just find this less messy. And if you don't get right to the edges, you can actually just gently lift the serviette. I think overseas you would call these napkins. We call them serviettes here. And I'm just going to place this down. And then just adhere that. So you can gently lift it if you've got a little, I don't mind a little bit of texture in there. I'm just trying to get rid of that glue there that excess glue that I've got on my mat. So just even all that out with your fingers. And that's glued fairly well. Tip your postcard back over and just cut away the excess. And then I'm just going to ink around got a little bubble there that I'm pushing down. Then I'm just going to ink around the edge as well. So this would be great in an Australiana journal. So that is the back of the card, and then that's the postcard. So you can put your journaling there, and then you have a nice image on the back. I would normally stitch with a sewing machine around the edge. You can do that, or you don't have to. So, so that would be part of my stitching, my letter S for stitching. Okay. So what I might do is I might show you all that at the end anyway. I may stitch around these and just show you. Okay, so we've got ferns on the back of here. Maybe something a little bit flowy. Maybe let's go with this one. Actually, I quite like this one. I think I'm going to go, because we don't have to worry about doing the four correspondence or the address. So just try and line mine up as straight, you know, like grab a straight line and line it up on my block as straight as I can, just so that I know that it's fairly straight. Once again, I'm just going to line this up approximately on my mat. All I'm doing is just making sure I've got a similar amount of card over these two lines here. And then we need to find, so this is about the center. Once again, I'm just going to stamp onto a scrap of paper. Oh, that's nice, that green. And we're going to stamp that down. So that is really nice. I found this stamp. It's a old Kaisercraft stamp. I'm not sure how old it is. I don't know whether it says, but it's called Art of Life. And I just thought maybe if I stamp a couple of these skeleton leaves, I'm just going to use my block again, and I'm just going to stamp these a couple of times on this scrap piece here. And I'm going to use the green. Okay, so once I've stamped these, I'm going to fussy cut them out. So I'm going to actually lift those up a little bit with some foam tape. So I'm just going to cut this in half, if I can find my scissors. And just on the end, I'm going to put, I'll just do a want. I'm going to leave this one flat. I'm going to put the foam square here, so that will sit up a bit. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of foam on this little one here as well. So this one I'm going to do flat. So just adds dimension and interest to your pieces as well. And this one, I always add a little bit of glue to my foam dot just so that it doesn't lift, and then I'm just adding some down the bottom here so that it catches on the bottom. And I'm just going to overlap them and just hold on to them for a bit so they adhere. And then the same with this one, this little one. I'm just going to put it this here. So that just makes a plain postcard just something a little bit decorative. We might even add a little label. I love, one of my favorite stamp sets is Tim Holtz Field Notes. Tim Holtz Field Notes, and this this one, Lots of Labels from Darkroom Door. Now, I normally have this in my shop as well, but it has sold out at the moment. And I think I'm just going to do, I might stamp that one. Just trying to find some scraps. Here they are. Might stamp it with the brown, I think. So I've stamped it with the brown, and I'm going to stamp the number with the green, just so it all ties together. The reason I'm moving it over to the side a bit is because I'm not going to put this whole label on there, and actually looking at it, it might even be too big. I'll cut it out and have a look. So you know what I might even do is just add this on, and I'm going to cut off. I'll cut off the excess. So once again, just making a plain postcard, just something a little bit different. Once again, it's as limited as your imagination, but I just did that just to tie it in with the ferns on the back. So that'll go great in a botanical nature journal. And then we did this one where we put the serviette on the back. And then we also just did this one, which was fairly plain, just on coffee dyed cardstock. I've ruled the line and done the line for the address. So that is just my idea for postcards. Another thing that I thought, if you do have, so if you've got a postcard stamp, so this is something that I sell in my shop as well. It's done, it's all the work is done for you, and all you have to do is cut it out. I do actually have quite a few tutorials using this type of stamp, and I've got a bigger one as well. But I also wanted to just mention that you don't have to have your postcards as a rectangle shape. I mean, there's no reason why you can't. If you've got a frame like this one, this is an old Studio Calico stamp. Stamp this out, and you can put the postcard, this image or a smaller one, in here and have a square postcard. There's no rules in junk journaling, so just have a look at your stamps and see what you can come up with. I just wanted to show you also, I've got this stamp, which is another Darkroom Door stamp, and it is the vintage label. It's quite large. I just wanted to show you that I had stamped that, and then I've made it into a postcard there as well. So that is that stamp. It stamps out like this. It's a beautiful stamp, that one. And I've put my dirty mitts all over that, but I've just stamped out postcard and done a line, and that's another lovely different postcards. So have a look at your stamps in a different way and just have a think. If you have some sort of frame, there's no reason why you can't make your own postcard out of that frame. All right, so I'm just going to clear away my desk and I'm going to move on to the next project. So you can make your own paper lace, and this is pretty much a pretty easy one to do. It's, you know, you can actually do this onto fabric if you wanted to, so that you have soft lace, or you could stamp it onto paper. So this is a Stampin' Up! Delicate Details. I have no idea whether this is still available. It's something that I've had in my stash for quite a while. And this one is a Stamperia stamp. I think it's fairly in the last couple of years anyway. And it is called, I don't know what it's called. But I've got some copy dyed fabric. So just some random fabric that I've just dropped coffee onto. We could utilize that. You can use like a cotton muslin, or you can use like a calico. So what I might do is, I've just got one of these scraps here. We might just start with these scraps of calico and just see how they turn out. So I haven't used this one before, which is once again disgusting. I've had it for a couple of years, but that's okay. We're going to use it today. And I'm going to put it on the diagonal just so it fits on the block. We're going to use this same thing, archival ink vintage photo. You can use anything that you've got, just remembering that if you're going to be using this and washing this, you want to, this is permanent, this ink, and I would always heat set it as well, but because I'd be doing this in and putting it in a journal, it's not going to be washed. It's got a bit of excess ink pad there. So I'm going to line up the straight edge, which isn't perfectly straight either on the stamp, with the straight edge of the fabric. And then you have a beautiful lace image. So you can just leave it like that, obviously on a nicer piece of fabric. Like, what I'm meaning is, like, you can put it on a nice rectangular piece of fabric. Let's put the lid on this. But what I think I'll do is I'm going to cut it out. So just remembering that you don't have to use your stamps just on paper. They come up quite nicely on fabric as well. So there you have some really lovely lace that you've actually just made using your own stamps. So, I mean, that's pretty basic, and I'm sure majority of you may have done this before anyway, but just so that you know, you don't get your stamps and think that they have to just go onto paper. As I said, just be aware that this will fray fractionally if you don't glue it down really well. The other thing that you could do is, if you make a pocket for a page, you could stamp that on your pocket and decorate it. So I might just quickly whip up a fabric pocket and just show you what I mean. So what I've done is I've just cut a 5.5 inch by 3.5 inch pocket, so it'll fit nicely on a page in a journal. And I've just stamped that lace. So this is the one that I cut out. So you could even, you know, layer that if you wanted to, or use that separately. I've stamped it onto the pocket, and then I was thinking I could even add something to the top. Just to make it nice and feminine looking. So I'm just trying to have a bit of an idea how many of these I can put across. So that's 3. I think I'm just going to stamp it in the middle there. So you can, when you have a fabric pocket, you can have it in your journal as a floppy pocket. So a nice soft one, which is okay. Or you can actually add some cardstock to the back, which is what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to sew around it. Just because if bits and pieces of ephemera are going to be put in and out all the time, you don't want to stretch the fabric. So excuse my head again. So I've just added that to the top. We could even go, no, I don't think I'm going to. Am I going to? No, okay. I am actually going to do some hand stitching, so some stitching on this pocket. So I'll just get my threads. Got these beautiful, these are threads that are dyed here in Australia. And they're variegated, so I'm just going to grab, I do have more, I'm going to grab this one, I think. So this one is called Lilac, and you can see all the beautiful variegation on that. So I'm just going to pull one lot of 6 strands. Pop that to the side, and once again, you can, I'm not normally a purple person, but I've pulled some purple ink out that I'm going to show you something else that you can do, and I just thought, well, maybe it'll go in a purple journal. So I'm just trying to split into 3 threads. And I found a needle. And you can do as much stitching or as little as you like. And I have actually stitched straight onto cardstock before, so that is something you can, if you don't have fabric or access to fabric, you can use your stamps on your cardstock and then just stitch through there. It is just a little bit harder, I guess, because it's not as flexible. So you risk bending the piece you're working on. So just bear with me, I just need to try and thread this needle. Well, that would have to be a miracle, because that was threaded, the quickest I have threaded a needle in a long time. Okay, and I'm just going to add, what am I going to add? I think I'm just going to add some French knots to the top of this lace here. Or colonial stitch, I'm not even sure what stitch this is. So I'm basically just wrapping it around my needle 3 times, and I'm using 3 strands of thread. And you can see it's just adding a little bit of texture there. So I've just gone through that, and as you can see, I've added the French knots or the colonial knots to the top of that lace. And on the top of this little image here that I stamped, I am just adding a chain stitch. So I'm just doing a chain stitch right just across the top there, and I'll stop it at the end of this stamped image there. So this thread that I'm using ended up being a little bit lighter than I probably would have liked, but you can still see what that looks like. And I think I'm just going to leave it at that. So once again, just a tiny little bit of hand stitching just adds that extra element of texture and decoration. So I'm just going to finish that off. Now, as I said, you could use your pocket just with fabric. Now, because I've stitched on that, the tags and that might get caught in these stitches here. So I'm still going to put it onto the back, or onto some, back it with some coffee dye, or you can use any cardstock. Actually, you can use a file folder, whatever you like. So because I'm using glue stick, it's not going to be stuck down extremely well. So you will still see that fabric texture. I'm not taking that to the edge because I'm going to take it to my machine in a minute, and I'm going to stitch around the edges. So basically it's just to make it easier when I sew, and it's all just going to hold into place. So now I'm just going to stitch around that on my machine. Just stitched, excuse me, I have just stitched around that. I like to leave my threads hanging, as most of you would know. And there you have just a lovely little stamped pocket, and then it's just been accented with a little bit of hand stitching along the way. And then I've just grabbed a piece of coffee dye paper here just to give you an idea what that would actually look like on a page. So I would just glue, and we may as well do that, I would just glue 3 sides. And then just stick that down to the page. So it's quite tone on tone, apart from that little pop of lilac there. And that's okay, because once you decorate tags and pop them in the pocket, that just really adds a really lovely soft touch to your journal. So what have I got here that I can stick in there? We'll pop one of our postcards in there. So it just gives you an idea of what you can do with your stamps. So we've got a lace edge, and I've just accented it with some hand stitching and some chain stitch up here. You can keep going. You could go crazy if you like. I just wanted to give you a bit of just a general idea what you can do. So that's just another idea how you can use your stamps. And then, as I said, I've stamped that bit of lace. I probably wouldn't put it on here because it gets lost with the lace coffee dyeing there, but if you had you could put it on the side of your page, or on the edge of your page, just as a nice textural element. So that's just one way of using up some of your lace stamps. Okay, so the next thing that I've got to share with you is, I don't know if you've all seen the French laundry labels. Now I'm just going to show you. So this is another S, I guess, some slow stitching that I have been doing over the last, it's quite a while, 12 months or so. This is going to be a journal cover. So this is just some slow stitching. Now, don't die when you see the back, it's a mess, but we're not going to see that once the journal's done. I've still got a fair bit of work to do on here, but you see quite a few people that are using French laundry labels in their journals or journal covers, in their slow stitching. We can't all access those, and I just thought, well, how can I make my own? So I've got this twill tape, this white twill tape, and what I had done was, so to start it off with, I sewed a line of red thread, because this fray is really easy. You can see here, it just pulls. Okay, so you need some thread to stop it from fraying. And then I thought, well, I've got lots of alphabet stamps. So I've got these, and they're probably a little, actually they're probably not a bad size actually. So I'm just going to cut that one off. I don't like that, so I'm going to ditch it. And then I've got these alphabet stamps that I got from Kaisercraft, and they're not too bad either. So what I might do, so these you stamp singly, and these Kaisercraft stamps, they actually join together. So this stamp set, I have no idea where I got it from. I've had it for years as well. So I am going to, since we're doing initially yours, I'm going to do SLH. So that's my full name. And they just clip together like that. Okay. And let's see how these stamp up. Okay, and a lot of the French laundry labels actually have like a beautiful script font on them, but that's okay. I'm trying to just show you that you can use what you have. So I'm just going to change the thread in my sewing machine back to red, and then I'll show you what I do. So what I've done there is I've just added 2 lines of thread, just straight stitch, and that's basically to stop the twill from unraveling. And when you look at a genuine French laundry label, they either have red stitching woven into the fabric, or they have white stitching woven into the fabric. So that's just my initials, and I did actually do some numbers as well, just to give you a little bit of an idea what they look like. And these are just stamps, one of the Tim Holtz stamps that I've used out of the Field Notes stamp set, and it's this stamp here. So you can put anything, any number you wish, and I'll just show you. So that's one way that you can replicate your own French laundry labels without having to chase them down and actually get them sent. I mean, the ones from France are beautiful, and if you can afford to do that, that's great. If you can't, so this is just another way of doing that. And then you could stitch that on. So I could have actually stitched that directly onto there, but don't know that I want that there yet. And then you could put so these go quite well because I've got red in this. I'm just trying to think where I can put it. You know, you can just put them like that. So just to give you a little bit of an idea what they look like. So that's just another idea how to use your stamps. Okay, and I'll just move on to the next one. So the next part of my video, guys, I just thought I would do it as a show and tell, just because showing the process takes so long, and I think I'm up to about an hour already. So I thought I would just show you some other options that you can do with regards to stitching and using your stamps. So what I tend to do is, sorry, I've just washed my hands. Keep the selvage. I had made a journal cover with this leopard print and I just kept the selvage, and I've just done some stitching, some cross stitches on there, and then I add these to tags or pages just as a decoration. So that's just a little bit of an eye. I've just done a cross stitch there. This is calico, where I had like scrappy bits and I've just cut them into rectangles, and you can stitch using your sewing machine. So you can even do obviously ruffles, that sort of thing. But I just love these sort of things. I can sit and do at night if I'm deciding that I want to have a night off, and I can just sit and do it and watch the TV. And it's really, you don't have to think too much about it. So that's another way, you know, all those little bits and pieces all come in handy. So cross stitch, that one's just got one. This one I've just done like a lazy daisy stitch and just done a flower. And this one I've just done using the piston stitch. So they all come in really handy. Just put them in a little box or something and you've got them already ready done. So that's just one thing that you can do with your embroidery thread or your sewing machine. Another thing that I like to do with my stamps is make fabric tags. So you may have seen these in my videos if you have watched journal flip throughs before. I just, you know, different fabrics that I might have just little rectangles left. So I cut them and just fray them all and then just stamp them. So I add these to a page with an eyelet. And then I just add a bulb pin through here and put it through the eyeleted page, and then maybe add some beads or buttons, and it's just a nice little added element. If you really wanted to, you could add a bit of paper or something on the back here, so you've got some journaling space. And then it's basically hidden journaling. You can flip that up to see. So they're just, I mean, just to show you, you can use any fabrics, any color ink, any stamps. This is a linen, and then they look completely different. So I've got some bees on some yellowy type fabric. I don't know, they're just something fun, just something different to use up your stamps. So these are ones that I've just done, and I just thought I'd show you rather than show you the process. All it is just a square or a rectangle of fabric, fold it down, put an eyelet in the top and stamp your image. As easy as that. So that's something else that I like to do with my stamps. Okay. Another thing that I like to do with my stamps is tear some fabric. This is some coffee dyed fabric that I've had, and then I've just torn it into strips and about 1.5 inches wide, and then I've just used some Tim Holtz stamps, just stamped it all the way through. These are handy to have, so you can use this as the edge of a page if you want to, put them on a pocket. What I do like to do with them is actually just cut them, and then you can use those images on tags, that type of thing. And I mean, you don't have to have Tim Holtz stamps to be able to do this. You can do any stamps you like. So it's just another option, another way of utilizing your stamps. Okay, so I've got a couple of projects here that I've made using stamps. So just to show you, you know, you don't have to, and I said it earlier in the video, that you don't have to just stamp straight onto your page or your fabric. Sorry, it's late afternoon now and the sun's starting to come in, so I'll have to try and wrap this up. You won't be able to see anything. So this is a glass dome stamp from Darkroom Door. And so what I've done here is I've just stamped it onto some craft cardstock here and cut the base out. And then I've stamped it again and I've put this onto some tracing paper or vellum, and I have done it in journals before where I've done acetate using Stays On ink. And then you can just pop a little image that's just a fussy cut floral image that I've put behind there, and that just looks really nice on a page. So what I have tended to do as well is make these and then glue them on up to about this point here. This piece here is actually stuck in, it's permanent there now, but I have made this a pocket before and just put some fussy cut flowers and that in there, that the recipient can then take them out and decorate their journal as they wish. So that's another fun stamp. So if you've got bottles, bottle stamp, anything like that, you can use acetate or tracing paper to make them clear. Another little tag that I made using my stamps is this round stamp here is from the Lots of Labels stamp, and I think I might have put it away. I have. So that's a Lots of Labels stamp, and then I've just punched, using one of my punches, I've just punched the center out, and behind it I've just stamped a variegated butterfly. So all I did with that was put the lighter color of the ink on the stamp first, and then used the darker blue and just inked the bottom half of the stamp, stamped it down, and then you get this variegated look. Just put a bit of acetate in there. And this here, it's very similar to the Tim Holtz dies, and I've just used, so if you've got anything like this sort of stamp, you can utilize them. So what I've done is I've just stamped the green ink down just here and wiped some of it off, and then just gone over with the purple ink and then just fussy cut it out, and it looks similar to one of his dies. And then this is just some faux stitching using a stamp set that is made up of, it's a Tim Holtz one as well. It's called Stitches, and so that's just what I've used there. So if you don't have access to a sewing machine, they're always a good option as well. So that's basically using all stamps. I've made that tag. So that's just another option. The next journaling card I made is really cute. So I've got, well, I think it's really cute. I've got this old Jenny Bolan studio stamp. It's just a typewriter. So just thinking outside the square, and I'm thinking, well, how it would be really cute to put some paper or something in there. So I've made this journaling card just interactive, and you could, I've just stamped a script stamp on here. You could write your journaling on here if you wanted to, or a message to the person that you're giving the journal to. So that's just another interactive piece, because we all like those flips and tucks and hidden bits and pieces in our journals. And I've just sewn around that with my sewing machine, and then just backed it with coffee dye paper. So I really love how that turned out. So that's that one. So I'm nearing the end of my video for our the initial kickoff for 2022. And once again, I'd just like to say thank you to Corey for inviting me. I've had so much fun doing this. And this is nothing new, probably. I'm not sure that I've seen it with masking tape, but sometimes what I like to do is just lay masking tape out onto a sheet of acetate and just stamp away. So this isn't fully finished. I'm yet to fill the gaps, and I've just used 4 different colors of inks. And once again, I've just used the Tim Holtz stamps. And when you're all done, all you need to do is just peel off what you want, the amount that you want, peel it off the acetate, tear it off, cut it off, whatever you want to do, and you can just add that to your projects that you're doing. So I like to have one of those on standby at any time. I don't always use it, but it's just a great way to use up your stamps. And as I said, I've just put a little bit of script stamp in there just to fill some of the gaps. Marlie's from Marley Design, she uses these stamps all the time, makes amazing journaling cards, and she just has a knack of filling all the gaps. So I struggle a little bit with that, but I will go in and find some smaller stamps and fill in these gaps. And then I have some of my own washi tape to use in my journals. All right, so thank you so much for joining in. I hope you really enjoyed that and got a few tips from the video. And yeah, just have a look at your stamps and just, I guess, think outside the box a bit. And they can be used for so many different things. And same with stitching, whether you've got a sewing machine or you can do, you know, just get a needle and thread and just use up all your little bits and pieces and just go for it. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for joining in with this collaboration. As I said, I'll put all the details down below of all the other amazing ladies that are in this collaboration as well, if you don't already subscribe, we'd love for you to head over and see what they've gotten up to and subscribe, share the love. So happy 2022, everyone. I just wish for you everything that you have wished for. I hope it all happens, and you have an amazing year. Thank you everyone for your support, and thank you to everyone that has subscribed or like what they see and will subscribe to me. I appreciate all of you. Thanks guys, take care, and until next time, I hope you get a little bit of crafting time in. See you soon.